Hi and hello, welcome to Spell a Day, where we're covering a spell every single day from the 5e PHB 362 plus 3. The plus 3 are homebrew spells, we're at plus 1 at the moment. And you can head back in the playlist to find it, and today's spell is Hallow.
Baby! You're not possessed! I promise I come to save you! Here! The power of Jesus compels you away! Feel the power of Jesus, baby! Get some holy water on you, baby! There you go! Baby! Te va a sacar el demonio, mijito! En el nombre del Padre, del Hijo y de los chetos hot Cheetos en la salsa valentina! Amen! Throw some vampire spray on him!
5th level evocation, cast time of 24 hours, range of touch, components verbal somatic material, herbs, oils, and incense with at least 1,000 gold pieces, which the spell consumes. Duration, until dispelled. You touch a point and infuse an area around it with holy or unholy power. The area can have a radius of up to 60 feet, and the spell fails if the radius includes an area already under the effect of a Hallow spell. The affected area is subject to the following effects. First, celestial elementals, fae, fiends, and undead can't enter the area, nor can such creatures charm, frighten, or possess creatures within it. Any creature charmed, frightened, or possessed by such a creature is no longer charmed, frightened, or possessed upon entering the area. You can exclude one or more of those types of creatures from this effect. Secondly, you can bind an extra effect to the area, choose the effect from the following list, or choose an effect offered by the DM. Some of these effects apply to creatures in the area. You can designate whether the effect applies to all creatures, creatures that follow a specific deity or leader, or creatures of a specific sort, such as orcs or trolls. When a creature that would be affected enters the spell's areas for the first time on a turn, or starts its turn there, it can make a charisma saving throw. On a success, the creature ignores the extra effect until it leaves the area. Courage! Affected creatures can't be frightened while in the area. Darkness. Darkness fills the area. Normal light as well as magical light created by spells of lower level than the slot you use to cast this spell can't illuminate the area. Daylight. Bright light fills the area. Magical darkness created by spells of lower level than the slot you use to cast this spell can't extinguish the light. Energy protection. Affected creatures in the area have resistance to one damage type of your choice, except for bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing. Energy vulnerability. Affected creatures in the area have vulnerability to one damage type of your choice, except for bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing. Everlasting rest. Dead bodies interred in the area can't be turned into undead. Extra dimensional interference. Affected creatures can't move or travel using teleportation or by extra dimensional or interplanar means. Fear. Any affected creatures are frightened while in the area. Silence. No sound can emanate from within the area, and no sound can reach into it. Tongues. Affected creatures can communicate with any other creature in the area, even if they don't share a common language. Okay, here we go. So we got an expensive, long-lasting time. Casting time, not lasting time, though it does last a long time. Touch, but it affects a 60-foot radius. You do have to be in the center of it, though, because it's a point marked out from that range, then it can reach out, so you can't just be at the edge of the end radius and then affect a large area in front of it. You have to be in the center of it. 24 hours, which means you're probably not going to get that rest. 1,000 gold pieces, though, to burn. 5th level spell slot, not the worst. That's 1,000, it's a consumed 1,000 gold piece components. 24-hour casting time already set up, so you might be willing to invest, especially for the effects you get after. And it's until dispelled, which, speaking of who can get dispel magic, 1,000 gold might not be worth it too heavily. Depends how common dispel magic is actually in your setting. First off, it has the protection / dispel, good and evil spells kind of baked into the first effect, which is fantastic. Not concentration to already have those just within an area? Great! Creature's immune, resistant, can't be charmed, frightened, possessed, when you're within it, and if you're already one of those effects and then you head into this, you're fine. And kind of, but not as specific as Glyph of Warding, you can actually target specific creatures and types. Again, this is also a subtype of category, as you can specify orcs or trolls. Deity or leader. Leader, especially, is a very, very loose term, meaning you can attack bandits, kings, Royal Guard, or assassins, cultists, etc. You can list it to one of these groups or factions coming after you to an extent, or any kind of organization, really. Though this is for the secondary effect, which you can also designate outside of the ones at options here. I'm just going to bring that up. One offered by the DM, which is a weird choice. It's not asking your DM, it's offered by the DM. I mean, yeah, it can be asked and then DM can give it, but when it came to the steed, it said whatever's okay with your DM. This one, it said anything other offered by your DM. The spell's already expecting that DM has something in mind for an effect based off one of these different groups or creatures. Not literally, or not directly, it's not saying that's what it's asking, but it's kind of insinuating that's already in mind. But now, the effects, which we already listed off. They're not bad. The charisma save doesn't really affect creatures that it's going to benefit anyway. And because you can do it a specific deity or leader, you could have it be just members of your party. Darkness is just a bigger darkness. A 60-foot radius darkness is quite something. Daylight, energy protection. Though, okay. Energy protection and energy vulnerability. Those are two things that are crazy. All your allies in a 60-foot radius, if you had time to set this up ahead of time on this battlefield, resistance to a damage type, and you could stack this. Oh no, sorry. Hallow can't actually be placed on another Hallow. It's only one. So, still, a resistance given to everyone on that can be bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing, which, And then energy vulnerability, however. If this is a battlefield you're setting up ahead of time, or you have a damage type that you're quite prevalent with, and enemies are coming in, like let's say you have a church that worships some divine fire, or divine light, then you just set this up so enemies of that don't follow your deity, or anyone else really coming in, has vulnerability to fire, if they fail that charisma save. Because there's not a resave, it's just whenever they enter it for the first time, and then they're in the area. Ooh, that's no good. If for some reason you have Divine Mind Flayers, it could be psychic damage, frost, necrotic, etc. You can make it whatever you want. Everlasting Rest is an interesting phrase, namely because of how the spell is, it's affecting things in it, and I guess, based off wording, it means things that are currently interred in the area, versus if it was interred in this area, then even if you take it out, it's fine. I don't think that's the case. I think it's meant to be when it's only in there. Unlike Gentle Repose, I don't think this will be used on every graveyard because it's just such a big gold investment and then it can just be dispelled. Like, Extra dimensional interference is just good. It's just good to have to stop teleportation or planar shifting. Fear is a scary one, but they can walk out of it if they want. Though because it says if the source of their fear is in view, because it's an area, there's not a single source, so if they're in it, they just have the effect. They have all the negatives of fear. Silence, again, just a larger silence. Tongues is good. Tongues I could see a temple investing into. Placing it down, a temple to civilization or a god of civilization. Chatting about keeping everyone unified, actually talking trade, foreign powers, etc. An embassy. It's not bad. Well, namely, that's the other thing. It's not bad. It's a big investment, both in time, the spell slot's alright. The gold cost, and then until it's dispelled. Namely, the issue I have with this, hands of an adventuring party. It's not gonna come up that often, unless you can already, if you're planning an ambush ahead of time, like you know some cultist or group is going to be heading into this area, you're gonna be fighting creatures here, or you're gonna have to do some dangerous summoning and you're prepping for that ahead of time. Because you need the 24 hours and the materials. That's a very particular situation you're prepping for. I mean, I don't know how often your group ambushes creatures that are going to be taking advantage of this, or one that you're going to have at a set point where you can take advantage of some of the negative effects you can apply. When it comes to DMs and world building, it'd be neat, but it'd only be neat because of the gold cost and how easily it can be dispelled. Again, depends your setting and how often dispel magic is a thing, but this would probably be set up again like the players, where it's just in case this is coming under attack or a warding, or they're expecting trouble, or that embassy diplomacy scenario. You can't just have it up and then consistently rely on that. So it's a spell that takes a lot of prep and a lot of resources and is still only good for a moment because it can be dispelled versus its initial cost. If it wasn't a gold cost, it would be worth to regularly cast this. Because it can't stack, so even if the effect gets dispelled, yeah, you have a 24-hour window, it's open. But now you have a 24-hour window and a 1,000 gold cost requirement, which, depending on the vandalism, the people fighting you, or just the effects of the region, that can add up real quick, making it now unreliable. For permanent use, that is. So this is a setup spell, and a really long and expensive one. 5 out of 10. In the one scenario where you can set it up, it's good. Again, stops possession, charmed, fear, frightened, so you can bring people into it that are under one of these effects. But it's only for those situations where you need to stop one of these effects from one of these creatures or sources on a target you already know, and you have the time, and you have the gold. And then even when it comes to locations and buildings, it can just be dispelled. Which I don't usually bring dispelling up into a lot of these spells, because I find like, well, why would you target it, or how often are you going to come across it? But when it comes to a spell like this, which is an obvious thing to target, and it's only 5th level, 5 out of 10.